Hey wrestling fans and members of the new Gibby Order, do you remember the Twitter account I started, the @WrestlingProj Twitter account? Well, I know what some of you are thinking. You haven't tweeted out there for weeks, heck, even a month. Well, guess what, guys? I'm still trying to work on it, and it's being delayed for a little bit. Hopefully I will get what my secret project is out sooner rather than later. I just wanted to give you guys an update and let everybody know that it will come soon. So stay tuned for what this secret project could be. It could be anything. It could be something that extraordinary, something revolutionary, something that's going to change the wrestling landscape forever. So definitely go follow the Wrestling Proj Twitter account @WrestlingProj, and Proj being spelled as Proj. So definitely go check that Twitter account out. And as always, keep listening to the Raws Give You podcast. And keep supporting the Raws Give You podcast, as we will be bringing you some cool stuff coming up your way. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. Welcome to Friday Night Talkdown on Thursday night tonight. I'm your host, Zach McGibby. Thank you for tuning in to Thursday Night Talkdown. As you can see, another new look to the show. I'm very happy about it. Very much liking the new look of the show. As you can see, we got the tweets rolling down the side. So tweet me @RozGibby so that you can see your tweets live here on Friday Night Talkdown. And so we're just going to be going over some of the big news, but I'm not the only one here tonight. Tonight with me is a very special guest host. He is Moran Mohammadi. Introduce yourself, Moran.
Hey, my name is Moran Mohammadi. I've been an avid WWE fan since about 2002, 2001. WWE's been a big part of my life. I've watched it ever since I was a little kid, and I still watch it today. You know, my all-time favorite wrestler is The Rock. You know, not one of the greatest. As well as, you know, I don't only like WWE. I'm part of also a Twitter and YouTube account called the Global Gooner 16, which is a part of a bigger channel, Arsenal Fan TV. I don't know if any of you follow soccer or football or however you like to perceive it. We just do a bunch of videos and tweets on the Arsenal Football Club. So if you're interested in that, please follow us at Arsenal Fan TV or at Global Gooner 16.
All right, sounds good. Definitely go check that stuff out, and we'll get straight into the news today. Big news coming out of Nashville, Tennessee. We have got big news about Spike and TNA. Spike officially dropping TNA from their programming. Major news. Probably going to shake up wrestling for a bit as we know it, because of just how massive this is and how TV is a big deal in wrestling, especially for TNA. TNA's ratings, even though they've been going up recently, they decided no more. And apparently one of the reasons that TNA is not going to be coming back to Spike is because Vince Russo, the almighty ruler Vince Russo, is still apparently with TNA at the time they were negotiating the new contract. And Moran, what do you think about this massive piece of news about TNA?
It was something I saw coming. You know, it's been slowly deteriorating over the years. It's not the same TNA I was accustomed to. I miss the good old days of, you know, where TNA had their own unique wrestlers, where the X Division was so entertaining, so much high flying, and they've sort of lost that aspect. They're making somewhat of a comeback. Their wrestling's still good, but they sort of lost that identity. And the way they brought in numerous former WWE wrestlers, it really made them look so second fiddle to WWE. And clearly the ratings and views over the years have shown that.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you on that. And you know, TNA, I really like TNA. I didn't start as early as other people. I actually watched TNA after I found out Hornswoggle was the Mystery GM. But I started watching, and I really liked what I was seeing, and I thought this was good programming, different from WWE. And I totally agree with you too. Even at that time, they were still having some good high flyers in, and they were starting to lose focus on that, and then they had that terrible aces and eights angle that really did not go anywhere for that company. It was just it is disappointing to hear though that WWE's main competition really doesn't have TV, because WWE really thrives on competition, as we saw a long time ago for the Monday Night Wars, and I totally agree with you, Miranda. It's not really the same, but I'm not too surprised either about it at the same time, but knowing Spike TV on its own, usually their ratings on other shows aren't as high as TNA, so I was a little surprised on the aspect that they didn't bring it back because of the other shows that they have on their programming. But what do you think will happen to TNA in the future?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what TV network would want to take this company. I still love watching some of this wrestling, but again, it's not as big as it used to be. The ratings aren't as high as back, let's say 2008, 2007, when they had the main event Mafia going on. The X Division was at a peak. Everything was going great, and they've sort of lost that. Possibly, I really see them going towards like a live streams on the computer, because I really don't see a TV network that would take them.
Yeah, and I agree with you too on that. I remember them people saying that TNA used to record their shows and put it onto their website for a bit before they found Spike again. So maybe that's what they'll do for a while. I'm not too sure about what the future aspects is, but yeah, this is not good news whatsoever for TNA and wrestling fans in general. As a lot of wrestling fans really like to criticize TNA for copying WWE storylines and all this, but really TNA is really the only competition WWE has, and so a lot of people really want to see them thrive on that competition so that both WWE and TNA can get better. But I don't think it's too much in terms of dead competition. What do you think? Do you think there's any wrestling promotions that could come in and take TNA's spot if their popularity does decrease after this announcement?
I just can't see it. To rival WWE, it's really tough. Even TNA over the years, they could never win over a majority of the WWE fans. Everyone saw them as second fiddle to WWE for so many years. The way they brought in so many WWE employees, it's just I can't see anybody rivaling WWE at this point.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard. The other promotions, Ring of Honor, Jeff Jarrett's new promotion, Global Force Wrestling, they're going to be in for a hard battle too. If they want to take that spot to try and compete with WWE, because WWE is just such a massive powerhouse. It's going to be really, really hard for any other wrestling promotion now to really compete. So I'm hoping TNA can really get on track here with their programming and hopefully find a new TV network, because I really think that they can. If they keep on the road that they were going on right now with these New York show tapings, I think they can get better and have some good TV and get the ratings up even more. But I'm not too sure now that Spike has dropped TNA. So any final thoughts before we move on?
It's just a bad reputation they have right now for a TV network such as Spike, which is pretty well known, pretty big. For them to drop TNA, it's just the signal that who else should take them.
Yeah, exactly. And again, just a sad day for wrestling fans, and but hopefully they can find a new promotion soon. So anyways, we'll move on to big WWE news. Big news yesterday, Ricardo Rodriguez, former manager for Alberto Del Rio, announced on his Twitter account that he has been released from WWE and is probably going to be looking towards the independent wrestling promotions to wrestle. I believe he said on his Twitter account too that he wanted to wrestle more, and so WWE didn't really give him that. So what's your thoughts on that release?
Again, it's not one I'm not too surprised about. With Alberto Del Rio having no direction at all, Rodriguez has really no use. If they're not gonna give him wrestling time, there's really no need for him in the business. He is an underrated uh, worker in the ring. So I remember one time where when he fought Big Show on one Monday Night Raw, he had he did well. And if he's it's just sad because if you're never given the opportunity, you never know. So maybe it could have been maybe a rivalry Alberto Del Rio could have produced, but we'll never know now.
Yeah, and I personally think too that Ricardo Rodriguez was really the guy that put Del Rio over, because I think personally I think Del Rio's not a very charismatic character, and he's definitely got the wrestling skills to be in the main event, but he doesn't have the charisma or really the personality to be in the main event. And I think Ricardo Rodriguez really helped to put Del Rio over. So I think it's a big loss for WWE and Del Rio too, because right now Del Rio is not really doing very well in the mid card spot where he is in right now. But what are your thoughts on Del Rio? Do you think he can go on his own without Rodriguez?
I really don't see like his character is someone who's arrogant, high class. But how many times have we seen that? He's just basically he's like a Mexican JBL. It's not something that I haven't seen before. So Rodriguez helped him get even more heat with the entrances, with the Spanish announcing. So that helped as well. Because like you said, Del Rio's not he's okay on the mic. He's not doesn't have the charisma to be to be standing out in the WWE. So it's just a matter of time before he gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, absolutely, and he really is sort of just lost in the shuffle right now. I mean, he doesn't really have a feud going on right now. He's just kind of in some of the smaller, just like he's been in a bunch of those tournaments and and those battle royals for the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. Battle Royal on a main event a while ago. He has no direction going for him right now, and he doesn't have that character like Rodriguez to really help him get over with the crowd. And I've seen some moments of I've seen some spurts with Del Rio in which he shows some good character, like when he's a heel. Because I remember he used to attack opponents like viciously after the match, and it would be like really believable and really got Del Rio over as a heel. But other than that, there's not really too many characteristics to Del Rio that really make him stand out to be that guy that could carry the championship.
Yeah, maybe a manager that may not being talked about for him, but I think would be a good fit for him would be Ric Flair. I think with that high profile, high rolling, that limousine riding style, I think that could really suit Del Rio in a way of coming across. I think him and Ric Flair would be a great match, match as a manager and a superstar duo.
Yeah, I haven't heard that sort of combination. That's an interesting combination. Obviously, the big combination for a lot of people would be Ziggler and Del Rio, or Ziggler and Flair, sorry. But that's an interesting combination because they both have similar characters in terms of how they portray themselves, inside the ring and outside the ring too. That's an interesting pairing, and that would be good for Del Rio to really get him back in the main event scene.
I just don't see it happening because I just think Del Rio just way over the line. I think his time was back in 2011. I think that was his peak.
Yeah.
I think when he won the Royal Rumble, the Money in the Bank, the WWE Championship all in the same year, I think that's as high as they'll ever get in WWE. Sorry to say, but there's nothing. I just don't see him getting any bigger than he was at that time.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that too. And again, any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
I wouldn't be a fan of seeing Del Rio always putting over talent because he's more talented than that. I think maybe give him one run with a mid card championship would be it would be a good sight to see because we haven't really seen Del Rio at the mid card level competing for a championship, so maybe that would be a different sight to see.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a very interesting way to go for Del Rio. But anyways, we'll move on to the next big WWE news. Legendary Japanese wrestler Prince Devitt is now officially signed with WWE. They announced this on WWE.com. I've seen a bunch of Prince Devitt, very good wrestler. The only thing I worry about is he's got a very aggressive wrestling style, and that's usually the case with a bunch of these Japanese wrestlers. Or these wrestlers that have trained in Japan for a long, long time, like Devitt has. His wrestling style is very aggressive, and WWE style is very not passive, but just more toned down than Japanese wrestling. So I'm a little nervous to see how he transitions into a WWE ring. He is going to be reporting to NXT very, very soon. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think he does have potential. I don't know too much about Prince Devitt, but I've heard I've been reading a few articles that he's won a few tournaments, this Super Junior tournament, and then the Junior Heavyweight title in Japan. So I think it says here that he was following the footsteps of Owen Hart and Chris Benoit. That's not not some too bad company if you're being mentioned in those names. So if what is rumored about him, what his potential, if it's that high, then I don't see why he can't not succeed in the WWE.
Yeah, absolutely, and it'll be interesting to see too. Now that, as some people know already, that Kenta has signed with WWE, it'll be interesting to see if they pair him up for some wrestling matches down in NXT. That would be quite an awesome showing if they were able to do that. And what do you think? A lot of people are saying that Prince Devitt may have a name change when he goes to NXT. Do you think that would be best suited for Prince Devitt, or do you think he should just stick with the name that he's been using around Japan?
I think if he uses, I don't know how popular he is in Japan, but if he is, I think keeping the same name would attract that popularity onto NXT for worldwide for fans of Prince Devitt to watch it, really.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on that. And I'm personally just hoping, I'm just very excited to see some of the potential matchups now that Kenta and Prince Devitt are now official members of the WWE roster. Some of the good young talents down there, Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville, all those guys. Those are going to be some very awesome matches, and I can't wait to see those kind of matches down in NXT. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to add them to the roster. NXT's got some good wrestling, so hopefully they can make it even better, really.
Yeah, and totally agree with you on that. So we'll move on. We'll go back to TNA. Some good news to report from TNA. We have TNA signing a one-legged wrestler, and his name is not Zach Gowen. His name is Chris Melendez. He wrestled in Bully Ray's Wrestling Academy. I've seen a bunch of his wrestling stuff before this, and he's very, very good for what he's able to do with one leg. He's much bigger than Zach Gowen, and he has some very good wrestling ability, and it'll be interesting to see how they use Chris Melendez. He's comes from a military background, just like Gunner right now in TNA. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But what are your thoughts on them signing Chris Melendez?
I think it's going to be an interesting way. I want to see the direction they take with him. I think it'll be easy to get behind him. I think he'll get a good reaction just based on his war hero background. So hopefully he can become a fan favorite.
Yeah, and I think he's got one leg when he wrestles with. I highly doubt that TNA would put him as a heel. They probably put him over as a massive babyface to really get him over. That would probably be the best direction, unless they have some sort of master plan to really get him over as a heel. But it's a very interesting signing for TNA, and a lot of people are comparing him to Zach Gowen. I think from what I've seen from his wrestling ability. I think he's a lot better than Zach Gowen in terms of what he's able to bring in the ring. I mean, he's able to do power bombs, and he's able to do suplexes with his one leg. I mean, it's quite awesome to see him wrestle like that, and it's just really cool to see for Chris Melendez, and I hope he gets that opportunity. I think he could. I think the best option for him. I was going to say the TV title, but that's retired. The best title for him to go after, maybe a tag team title, maybe pair him with Gunner, and that could be interesting, a military team. But what are your thoughts, Moran, on how they should push him?
I was thinking the exact same thing. I think right behind him, I totally agree. It'd be a good face tag team.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best direction to go for them. But TNA is an interesting company. They've done some different things. We're not going to see any swerves soon now that Russo is gone. But hopefully they do some good things with this guy, because I think he's got some real talent and he can really get over as a massive talent. And just any thoughts before we move on?
No, I totally agree with you.
All right, so we'll move on. Still sticking with TNA, it was announced a couple hours ago. TNA announced that they had re-signed DJ Zima Ion. He's a very interesting talent. He's with the Bromans right now in TNA. He's an interesting wrestler, a very good high flyer, and a very good heel for that matter too. Just what are your thoughts on Zima Ion? I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I was always a huge fan of Zima. I think when he was a heel, he had such a great potential, and he's a great worker in the ring. So it's glad to see him back.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad they're keeping him around. I just find it a little bit weird though, because a while ago with the AJ Styles situation, they were saying that they couldn't pay AJ Styles, but they were able to bring back MVP. They were able to bring back Lashley. They were able to re-sign a bunch of guys. So I don't really understand why they couldn't bring back Styles. But at least they're bringing back some good talent that could really help their company succeed in the future.
Yeah, totally agree with you. AJ Styles is a great worker in the ring. It's sad to see him go, but hopefully, if they want to keep their business alive, I think bringing the most important wrestler in the company's history would be a good step forward.
Yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree with you on that too. And it's just TNA really needs to look forward to the future to really survive on their own, because they need to, because they're the second biggest, no doubt about it, the second biggest wrestling promotion in the world for that matter. And so they need to really step their game up so that they can get those ratings in and really compete with WWE, so that WWE can improve their product and TNA can improve the product. Essentially the stuff I've been saying at the beginning of the show, but they really need to in order to survive, and I think they can do that with the talent that they have there. Any thoughts before we move on?
I think in order to help preserve the future, I think they need a little bit of the past. Someone like AJ Styles coming back would really help maintain stability for right now, and then yet help develop the younger talent so that they can replace AJ Styles when he's done. But that's what made TNA unique. The veterans like Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, guys like that. Those are the ones those guys are the horsemen of TNA, and you're gonna need them moving forward and to some capacity, whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's decisions, whether it's wrestlers, and whether they should be given title shots. They deserve more power than they're really given.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree with you on that. And just bring back some of the past to really help with your future, but also bring some prospects in to help the future as well. I think that would really help TNA out. So anyways, going back to WWE, just recently it was announced how many subscribers to the network that they have. Currently they have 700,000 subscribers bang on, apparently, and it's a very low number for them because apparently they need they're looking for 1 million subscribers by the end of the year, and apparently 1 million subscribers is their break-even point to in order to get their money back. So it's not really looking good for WWE on the WWE Network. Being from Canada, I can't tell you what the WWE Network is about, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of great stuff on the network, so it's a little surprising that not a lot of people are going to the WWE Network. It's interesting that just the low number for the network subscribers. What do you think, Brian?
I think we live in the age where you can find anything on the internet nowadays. You can find so many classic wrestling matches, all the ones you want. I think it's more about paying, that much money for something you can easily find through a little bit of research on the computer. So maybe that's an aspect. Another one, it's a pretty weird, pretty interesting statistic. Since its initial total in April, there's only been a 33,000 increase. Since its initial total in April, so that's clearly not good, and it's pretty poor. So they're gonna have to clean that up, and if they want the WWE Network to be a success.
Yeah, absolutely, and apparently they've been really pushing hard to get some. It's going to be hard for WWE too, because right now they're currently planning to have. The reason why they have Brock Lesnar booked at SummerSlam is to really try and get those pay-per-view buys and WWE Network subscriptions up. I've been advocating for a while that they need to save Lesnar at a Survivor Series. I'm well aware that they need to get this network subscriptions up, but the thing is, Survivor Series out of the 4 big pay-per-views has the lowest pay-per-view buys or views out of all their big 4 pay-per-views. And so really, if you have a guy like Lesnar come in to Survivor Series, you can have those big, you can have that network subscriptions, and you can have those pay-per-view buys while also getting, saving some good stuff. Because I was advocating it during the Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE World Heavyweight title. They were saying how a lot of people want to see Reigns or Cesaro or Wyatt win the title, and if they give those guys the title, they can at least get a lengthy reign before Lesnar could take them down at Survivor Series, so that they could have a legitimate title reign and have Lesnar still go over and look dominant, while the champion would still look dominant at the same time. But business is business in WWE, and it's interesting to see these low number of subscribers.
Yeah, it is. And just to point out on the view you had on the Reigns, Wyatt, the only realistic option could have been Roman Reigns. I really don't think they'd have Cesaro as a possibly, if in that case, as a face head off against Lesnar at Survivor Series. I don't know how over Cesaro can get as world champion, because as of late he's really lost touch with he doesn't have direction himself as of right now. And with Bray Wyatt, it's just that matchup with Lesnar is just a heel and a heel is just 2 way different characters. I don't know how you can build a storyline off that. Roman Reigns would probably been the most ideal, but I think they're gonna save him for WrestleMania. It looks like it.
Yeah, and And I guess it's some big plan to really get Reigns over to be that massive babyface that could carry the company. But still, though, it would have been nice to see Reigns get a little bit of a title run during that, solidify himself as a champion, because there's not a lot of main event guys in WWE right now. Cena's obviously the main guy, but Daniel Bryan is hurt. CM Punk is gone. Batista is part-time. Triple H is part-time. Lesnar is part-time. They've pushed Orton down. Just these guys that they had for that main event spot are now just not there. So they really, really, really need to build some main event talent, because back in the Attitude Era, they had a bunch of talent that could fill in that main event spot. They had Austin, Rock, Foley, Taker, all those guys, Triple H at the time. They had all these guys that could really step in and take that company and really help them out. But Going off topic a little bit, back to the WWE network. What do you think they'll reach 1 million subscribers by the end of the year?
They're gonna need help. They're gonna need a lot of help. They're gonna need. I think Sting would play a vital role in that if he could make an appearance or two. It says he's scheduled for SummerSlam, not an appearance at the show, but backstage, just being witnessing it. So whether he makes an appearance or not, he could be the tipping point on whether they can reach that 1 million views or not.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree with you. And we'll just move on now to the final bit of news. Going back to TNA, it's talking about Vince Russo. Apparently, Vince Russo was working with TNA all along. It was essentially one big, massive swerve. But TNA just yesterday announced that, or Vince Russo announced that he's no longer affiliated with TNA. And apparently Vince Russo was the key point in how Spike did not come to a deal with TNA. So now that Russo is gone from TNA, do you think that helps their chances of maybe going back and working out a new contract?
It certainly cleans up their the bad impression people have of them. Vince Russo is very opposed to by many wrestling fans, so him getting out of the way, it gives them an opportunity to really fix and enhance their reputation among the wrestling world and in negotiations with other networks. Stating we completely washed out the old, we're here with the new, we're ready to offer more better entertainment. And really, Vince Russo is a virus for them, and it's gladly for them they got rid of him.
Yeah, and Vince Russo, a lot of people have bad feelings towards Russo, and I see that too. He's made some terrible decisions during his booking time, but he has done some good things. He was a guy who really helped bring the Attitude Era along. I think really the reason why people don't really like Russo is because he doesn't admit to his mistakes. He blames it on other people, and I think that's why people don't have a very good liking to Vince Russo. But yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm guessing Spike now would really want to deal with TNA because I think they want those ratings back. Because Spike's doesn't really have a lot of ratings to their channel anyways. So I think that would really help their negotiations. If Spike was willing to go back and negotiate, then I think that would really help them a lot. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see how Russo is doing because now he's got his own website now, and he started his own podcast. And it looks like he's doing fine on his own without TNA. So I guess we'll just see how TNA is looking moving forward. And any last thoughts before we go to some of the Twitter questions?
No, let's just get right into what the viewers are saying.
All right, sounds good. So those were some of the big news and rumors going on this week. Now we're going to move on to some of the Twitter questions. Again, if you want to send a question to me, you can send one to me at RozGibby using the hashtag RozGibby, and I will answer your questions. First question we got here was from @ThatZigglerGirl. We were discussing this at the beginning of the show, but what is the is the impact of Spike dropping TNA is right now, and what does that mean for the future of the company?
Like I said, it tarnishes their reputation. The fact that Spike, a major network in the States, dropped them speaks volumes to how worse the situation has gone for TNA. So with that said, it's like I said, it's hard to see any other network as big as Spike or bigger really want to negotiate a deal for a company that's derailing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, we didn't really go too much into the future, but like in terms of the future of TNA, I think for now, if they don't reach a deal with Spike, because they're still technically with the contract on Spike, So those people saying that TNA is dead right now is just absolutely ridiculous and ludicrous. They're not dead right now. It'll be interesting to see what they do if they can't reach a deal with Spike. If they can't re-sign with Spike, obviously they could go back to putting it up on their website. But it'll be interesting to see which television provider goes to them. In their early years, Fox put them up. Maybe Fox wants to get back into some of the wrestling action, and maybe they have Fox come back and maybe show some total nonstop action wrestling. But who knows? It'll be interesting to see in the upcoming future what could happen to TNA. So we'll just move on to the next question. This was from @5starshots. Who's the next NXT talent that makes the jump to the big show? Referring to the main roster.
I'm gonna go with Connor O'Brien. As he's perceived right now, is Connor.
Yeah.
I believe he's been on the WWE. He's been with WWE for a long time, nearly 10 years. He's been on and off with WWE. It wasn't too long ago he was on season, I believe, 4 of NXT with Alberto Del Rio as his mentor, which is, not that bad of a mentor to have at the time. Not to mention that when Biggie Langston had the NXT Championship, Conor O'Brien was a challenger for him. He provided matches for him. He didn't win the title, but he was a competitor, and that just speaks volumes to if NXT was willing to push him that far. It might mean that he might have a future in the WWE. Not to mention he's one half of the tag team champions at NXT. I just think just a payoff for how long he's been dedicated to WWE and different circuits, and he's never been on the main show yet. I believe he should be next.
And do you think, like, in terms of him joining up, should all of Ascension join up and go to the main roster, or just Connor?
I think it'd be a good idea because the tag team division, it's not really that deep, to be honest. You got the Usos, the Wyatts, you have Ryback and Axel. So I think just to provide depth and just a fresh face in the tag team division, I think them and the Usos could really have a good feud that can run maybe 2-3 pay-per-views. Yeah,
and yeah, that could be a very interesting feud. My pick for the next NXT talent that should make the jump to the main roster. My personal pick has to be Sami Zayn. I really like Sami Zayn all the way from his days as El Generico. I really like his wrestling. I think he's got a good character too that's really getting over with the fans, and also obviously a really good wrestler. And his matches with Cesaro were freaking awesome, like some of the best matches I've ever seen, in my opinion. And it'd be really cool to see Sami Zayn make that big leap. And I think he could be that. A lot of people are saying he could be that Daniel Bryan type. I totally agree with you on that. I think I totally agree with him. I think he could be that Daniel Bryan type, that can really get over with the crowd. It'll be interesting though, because a lot of fans are chanting Ole down in NXT. Because of his previous gimmick of El Generico. It'll be interesting to see how they would utilize that into the main roster, and maybe have him embrace a gimmick where he goes back to the El Generico gimmick. Who knows? But yeah, I think Sami Zayn should be the next guy to go into the NXT roster.
He's got a really likable character about him, a real good image. His matches with Cesaro, I watched one of them. It was great. It was some good wrestling to watch. So I think with how he's getting perceived in NXT, the fan reaction, I think with the right direction, he could have success in the WWE.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And so, final set of questions. It's a interesting set of questions. It's not really more questions on what they should do. It's more trivia questions. So it'll be interesting to see. So the first question, these questions, by the way, were from @RoysterTevin. Definitely go follow. The first question he asked was, when did Brock Lesnar face Goldberg? That was WrestleMania 2020, I believe. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, so the second question was who won the Intercontinental Championship match in the Royal Rumble this year? I'm trying to remember who did. I think it was Biggie Langston. I'm not too sure. Do you know?
At the Royal Rumble?
Yeah. Was there a match at Royal Rumble for the Intercontinental Championship?
I don't know. If anything, Biggie retained them.
Yeah, because I know Big E was the champion at that time, so I think it was Big E. And the final question was, which is an interesting question because it's who was the first to wrestle Michael Cole, JBL, or Jerry the King Lawler? I'm not too sure what he means by that. I think he means like out of all those guys who wrestled first. If that's the case, then it was clearly Jerry the King Lawler. But and then it was JBL, and Michael Cole never wrestled. Well, he wrestled Jerry the King Lawler at WrestleMania 27, but let's not talk about that. I think that's what he's talking about. I'm not too sure. These interesting questions, but we've got them answered. It was Jerry the King Lawler that came first, obviously, and then JBL, and then Michael Cole is not a wrestler, so he would come dead last. But yeah, those were some of the questions. Again, if you want to send some questions my way, you can see it in the bottom right corner at RozGibby. Send those questions in. I will answer them on the Friday Night Talkdown show. And just going to wrap things up here. Thanks to Moran for showing up and guest hosting tonight's show. Anything you want to say before we head off?
No, I very much appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It went great. I'd love to be on again, and if any of you would like to follow me on Twitter at GlobalGooner16, that's for all my if you'd like to follow football or soccer, however you like to call it, and if you want to watch my videos, just either follow the Twitter account at ArsenalFanTV or the YouTube channel ArsenalFanTV, and so that's about it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely go check out his stuff and also see some of my stuff too, obviously here on YouTube, the RozGibby YouTube channel. Have some different stuff up here. First stuff, we had a big interview with NFL, CFL running back Jordan Roberts. You should definitely go check out that interview. Very nice guy. Definitely a great talent in football and should be tearing some heads in the NFL or CFL. And also we had another interview with Reality of Wrestling's Brian Keith, also a very nice guy too. He was promoting Summer of Champions. That's going to be an interesting pay-per-view for Reality of Wrestling, very first pay-per-view, so definitely go check that out. And also check out the interview I did with Brian Keith. But anyways, for Moran Mohammadi, I am Zach McGibby. Thank you for tuning in to Friday Night Talkdown, and I will see you guys all later.